projects have specific peculiarities to how you approach them, you understand? So some projects might require the sound designer to be on set, to capture some sounds, just because the location in which they shot is quite unique and that might not be able to be recreated in post-production. So my work basically is in post. So that's the work we do after everything has been shot on set, has been edited by the picture editor, and the picture is locked. And then that's when we start doing our own piece of work. So usually when we get to the stage of post-production, we get to talk with the director to have an idea of what is required, in terms of the soundscape, how they want certain things to be processed, especially sound, obviously, and then we get to work, So sometimes too, the director gets to send us the script ahead of time just for us to start thinking about ideas, and these things also depend on the schedule. Most of the time, it's peculiar to Nollywood anyway, we don't really get to have enough time to work on these projects, and most projects will give you about, say, an average of 4 to 5 weeks. So this will also dictate the kind of approach to which this whole process will take. So if you are being contacted earlier on at the beginning of the project, you might even get to attend pre-production meetings, talk to the production mixer, that's the person capturing the sound on set, might be able to give your own input based on the fact that you've read the script and things they should look out for, things they should avoid, so it won't bring issues down the line in post-production, and that's if you are actually invited at the early stage of production. But if you are not, then that means you have to deal with whatever you are being dealt by the time the project gets to you at the post-production stage. So that's just how it is. Ideally, what I do is I draw inspirations from how visual is interpreted by sound. If it's interpreted, sometimes you see a visual and then the sound is interpreted in a different way, and that approach will actually drive home the expectation of the mood that the director wants, and even the viewers feel that same emotion at that point in time. So for me, that is the paramount thing, how you interpret visuals. Sometimes you might notice maybe a knife drawn. What do you want to hear at that point in time? What do you feel? Is it would you prefer hearing the knife draw effect, or would you prefer hearing some whoosh sound? Which one would be more impactful at that point in time? So that's how I strip down projects, particularly horror themed projects, how I strip them down and look at how they interpret their works. That's how I tap my inspiration from these films. But unfortunately, we don't really have a lot of resources when it comes to horror films in Nollywood. So no, not from Nollywood, non-locally, yeah. Yeah, the film is horror themed. So we had to draw emotions from mystery, obviously ominous sounds and moods and whatnot, and it had a bit of some metaphysical themes to it as well. So, and at the same time, religious themes too, so it was just a mesh of everything. So it's not really straightforward, but it's at the same time straightforward horror. Yeah. Generally, when it comes to, there's this idea with sound design, and it's that it's very, very, it's actually way easier to create that jump scare effect by having silence before the big sound. So it's a it's the trick to the whole thing, to be honest. But I'll just like to say that it's very much more important to understand the flow of the story itself and how you intend to build the intensity with sound, you understand, as the story unfolds. So you're not just looking at, your aim is not just to scare people, but to ensure that the story flows to that point where it gets scared, because it becomes disjointed when you are just scaring people without any cause. Do you understand? We are the major goal of our work is to tell a story. So it is actually very important to go through that flow and ensure that when we get to that climax, we have a bit of silence, and then we take it to 100%, and then we have that effect. So that's how we go about it. There are specifically no particular instruments that we say, okay, these are the oral kind of instruments that you need to use. It's just mostly how you use them, how you apply them, However, there are some instruments that are mood themed. Like, for instance, when I said religion, you could hear the organ at some point.
Yes.
Yeah, in it, and that's because we have a nun, maybe dealing with a convent and stuff like that. So I had to bring in that element at some point. Spoiler alert, knowing that Madame Koi Koi was once a nun, or was meant to be a nun, and all that. So the way I applied those elements then with the human vocalizations that came in as well, which also came from the religious aspect, when you have the tenor choir singing, the baritone voice and all that, all those elements coming together, to create a soundscape. So you could hardly tell whether it's film score at some point or it's sound design, because they were really working hand in hand. So, and in all honesty, there's actually a blurry line between film score and sound design, because while you are scoring to a film, you are also borrowing elements, that are not necessarily musical, to drive home that effect. The idea is to elicit a mood, at any point in time, you understand? So it's not just about playing something melodious or sweet, but the idea is to, be able to get the viewers to feel in a certain way while they are watching that scene. So that's how I would say it. Yeah. In this project, what we did was to bring in young people that could recreate a school environment, kind of things you want to hear during break, during lunch break, during classes. You obviously hear someone say, "Stop making noise." You probably hear one senior call one junior, "Come here. Why are you not in class?" All those things need to just be spread around in the soundscape, just to make the scene more believable. So that was what we did. It's a very sensitive aspect of the work, even down to the visuals. We were in between deciding whether or not to put any sound, that was the discussion between myself and the director at that point in time. And I remember that we concluded that the character at that scene, in that scene rather, wasn't really important, even though she was going through something really traumatic, but she was not the center of focus of the story. So that was, like I said, the flow of the story is actually important to the entire thing we are doing, how we drive the story home. So if we chose at any point in time to make that lady very important in the story, we will lose focus or probably distract the viewers from who the real protagonist is. So that was why we were really careful. Obviously, it's a very, very tricky scene. So that's what it is. The major challenge I have when it comes to our work is the timelines. And we're getting better with how we do that. But for me personally, it's the timelines, and for me, it's also when we are brought in on the project. You know, it's sometimes some people make the mistake of reaching out when they've even finished their picture edit, and they just reach out like, oh, we need you to work on our project, it's ready. And I'm like, I'm already booked for the next 6 months, like, you know. So it's a problem. And then when they also come to at that point in time, they will be like, oh, we need it yesterday, we need it, can you please deliver, blah blah blah. And they'll be like, I want it to be way better than the last one you did, this one and that. And the truth is, even though I don't do all this by myself, I have a team of editors working with me, which also helps, you know. So I'm already mentioning what I do, obviously, to help myself with all these challenges. And then we
Yes.
also constantly revise our workflow to be able to accommodate all these very unbelievable timelines, you know. So that's what we do. But it would have been better if we had more time, because obviously, if we're able to do this much within a very short period of time, imagine what we can do if we had more time.